Recently, we received the latest Counter-Strike 2 update, which brought a lot of bug fixes to the table. This update also finally addresses some issues players have had with the game for quite some time, which is really great to see. As always, of course, timestamps are in the description down below, so if you want to skip ahead to a specific topic, feel free to do so. Let's start off with the gameplay changes from the 8th of November. The first change note is finally addressing something players have discovered quite a while ago. Muzzle flashes weren't rendered on the next frame, but instead were rendered on the next tick. This caused shooting to feel somewhat delayed and kind of off in comparison to CSGO, which was pretty problematic. And Valve finally addressed this with this patch note. Muzzle flashes will now always render on the next frame, which should make shooting feel much more instantaneous than before. The next patch note addresses an issue which may have caused shooting to feel somewhat inconsistent. You can see what happened before this update. Basically, there was a mismatch between server and client's data for tracers and decals. You can see in red where the client thinks the shot landed, and in blue where the server thinks it landed. Like I said, this could have caused spraying in CS2 to feel somewhat inconsistent, and Valve now addressed this with this patch note. However, something that Valve mentions here is that the spread has already been synchronized on Valve official servers since October the 14th. But this change was still pretty important, as now in offline servers as well as in community servers, this should also no longer be an issue, which is good to hear. And they also fixed the bug where pressing a movement key immediately after jumping resulted in an inconsistent jump height. This is really great news, to be honest, because now jumping feels, in my opinion, a lot more consistent than before. As you can see, I tried a couple of jumps, and in comparison to before, I was able to pull these off quite consistently. Good job, Valve. Now let's move on to some of the other changes. Valve has made some adjustments to the matchmaking. 4 stacks are now once again able to queue for the premiere mode, which is a really fantastic change. This was pretty annoying, to be honest, for 4 stacks because they had to search for a random 5th player. This could have also caused some issues, and I'm just very glad that Valve finally changed this. However, their solution is they've now added a vote kick immunity for solo players who get matched on the same team with a 4 stack. I'm not entirely sure if this is such a good idea, because if this one person has some malicious intentions, as an example of their cheating, the 4 stack can literally do nothing against this, and I think this could be quite problematic. I guess only time will tell. And they also adjusted the algorithm for re-establishing the CS rating after a period of inactivity in the premiere mode. This update also brought a ton of audio changes, which you can see on screen right now, so let's talk about those. Valve finally reduced the maximum audible distance of the grenade-bound sounds, which was previously pretty outrageous as it basically traveled across the entirety of the map. Take a listen for yourself. They also ended up improving once again the occlusion filter quality. Take a listen for yourself from before and after the update. They ended up changing the jump land sounds to have the same maximum audible distance as the footstep sounds, and they also ended up changing the volume fall-off curve of jump landing sounds to better convey the distance. We've received some improvements for the Molotov extinguishing effects to sound better when multiple are playing at once, and Valve apparently brought back the spark sound feedback when the bomb defuse is cut short due to the player spinning. I personally didn't notice the spark sound feedback, so if you know more about this one, feel free to leave a comment down below. Valve also addressed some issues regarding the headshot sounds, and they also ended up fixing some more bugs, which you can see on screen right now, as an example a case where the unsilenced M4A1S did not have any distinct gunfire sounds. Moving on to the map changes, this time around Mirage is the only map which has received some adjustments. They fixed the clipping on the bench in Palace, which I didn't really notice too much of a difference with, and they've also ended up lowering the height of the box on A side to match CSGO. Let's talk about the changes regarding the effects. They've improved the performance of the blood effects at close range, reduced the muzzle flash during the quick switch from scoped rifles, which is really great to see. You can see before this update there was a bright flash, which is no longer there after this update. They've also ended up reducing the strength of the Killstreak Hud effect after receiving more than 5 kills. Lastly, for the effects, they've improved the bomb light visibility from the back of the bomb. I'm not entirely sure if this is referring to what you can see on screen right now. If you know more about this, once again, feel free to leave a comment down below. We've received some adjustments for CSTV, which you can see on screen right now, and as far as I'm aware, demos should now once again be available. It's been quite some time without them, which was really upsetting, to be honest, and I'm very glad they're finally back, which is just really great. So thank you, Valve. Lastly, for the miscellaneous changes, they've adjusted the wear values of some stickers to better match CSGO. As far as I'm aware, some of the older stickers have received some adjustments this time around, which is pretty nice to see. They fixed the bug with the workshop tools, as well as improving the quality of the performance HDR rendering mode, and lastly, they've enabled the upload of workshop maps for the wingman mode. On the 9th of October, we've received another update, which is mainly focusing on the CSTV. You can see the change notes on screen right now. And that's already going to conclude today's video. I hope it was enjoyable to watch and informative. As always, of course, thank you so much for watching it, and I will see you, of course, in the next video. Bye, guys.